Can the gig geezer post another $1,500 week? Follow me on today's ride along on this segment of the Gig Geezer. It is an unseasonably warm Sunday, March 6, 2022. Here in South Carolina, specifically the Columbia metropolitan area, it is about 82 degrees, and I'm sweating already. I'm already wiping sweat. Before I started with this segment of the Gig Geezer, I was wiping sweat from my brow, and I'm still doing it now. But that said, the Gig Geezer is looking to reach the $1,500 plateau for the second time within the last several weeks. And like last week, when I topped $1,400, I needed to make about $230 on Sunday. I'll need to make about $232 today in order to reach $1,500. Now, this first half hustle that we're starting off at is off to a slow start, in that I had the choice between two order and pays, one from Grubhub for $15.82 or one from Uber Eats for $23.82. I grudgingly opted for the Uber Eats offer, but it's at a restaurant or a local restaurant chain in which, in previous attempts, at least when I used to see the orders that came across for Lizard Thicket, their system did not accept the Uber Eats Visa card. Well, it accepted it, and so at least I got a chance to make $23.82. But by the time I get that order to the customer, more than likely, I will be about somewhere between 45 minutes and 1 hour into my hustle. And so that's not a good start, especially when you're trying to make $232. Obviously, with each hustle, I like to make at least $100 each hustle. But when you're talking $230, which is kind of pushing it for me, that means I need to really have one of the two hustles has to be really strong. And most likely it should be the Sunday evening hustle. But the first half hustle, it certainly would not hurt if I make at least $100, which is always my stated goal with each hustle. Now, how long will it take me? I probably will be out between 3.5 to 4 hours for the first half. And then the evening hustle, we'll see what happens. So that's where I'm at. I'll be going in a few minutes to check on this order, and we'll get on with this hustle. All right, you can tell that I got my glasses on, so that means that I am driving and we are moving, heading towards the first drop-off. I'm probably about 6 minutes away from the drop-off location. Now, for you new drivers in the gig economy, when it's an order and pay, it means that the restaurant is not partnered with whichever app, being most likely DoorDash, Uber Eats, or Grubhub. And so in the case with Lizard Thicket, they're not partnered with Uber Eats. Now, there was a time in which Lizard Thicket's payments to Lizard Thicket using the Uber Eats card did not go through. And so that was basically an automatic $3 in cancellation compensation. So I will update y'all once I get another order, and hopefully we can gain some momentum with this hustle and get closer to that $100 goal. This is a subdivision / development that I am familiar with. There's not too many in the greater Columbia metropolitan market that I'm not familiar with, or certain locales within the Columbia metropolitan market spanning Richland, Lexington counties, even parts of Fairfield and Kershaw counties that I've not gone to. So this actually brings back memories to my Amazon Flex days, in which I used to make when I used to complete routes back in 2019. The other thing about this area, this is an area where I do see a lot of orders, but I try to avoid because it's what I call black hole areas. And as I've described before on previous segments of the Gig Geezer, what happens is that these orders take you off, at least you look on the map, to the deep crevices of an area. And more than likely, you're gonna have a one out. And what I mean by a one out is that you're basically carrying one order out there and not really having many opportunities to stack an order. And so that turns out to be a waste of time and money, and you're losing. All right, we are back at it again. I just accepted and also have picked up an order from Panera Bread. It was showing 6 items for $9. The distance is misleading because it says 12.9 miles, but that was based on DoorDash's suggested route of going basically around the world, taking the freeway back over to another exit, and then come up basically about the same place. I am going to be taking another route which will not take me around the world. It's actually going to cut probably about 4.5 miles off of that, and so it kind of brings it in line, or it actually makes sense. This is an example where you have to know your market sometimes, but also, and what I mean by knowing the market geographically, number one, but also in knowing your market, in this case, knowing the restaurant. This Panera Bread location, I want to say 90% of the time, the order is ready once I arrive, and that was the case with this particular order. $9 certainly kind of starts priming the pump again, and hopefully that will lead to other opportunities. Now that means if the Uber Eats order pays as it should, $23.89, that's based on the $8 tip that seems to be showing, that is not yet posted. Add $9, we're at $32.89 after 1 hour, but that's an ugly $32.89 made because of the dumb decision that I made by accepting the order and pay. But I could also rationalize it by saying, if you look at the maps from about the time that I accepted the order, there wasn't anything happening. So it's one of those situations where you make your best decision, and hopefully it won't haunt you. Okay, the Gig Geezer has dropped off the DoorDash order, which by the way, was to a hair salon place. That particular location I dropped off to another suite, if memory serves me correct, back on Thursday or Friday evening. And not surprisingly, whatever the order offered, that's what it paid. And that was in the case of this hair salon. But while I was in the parking lot of the hair salon place, I accepted a Uber Eats order for $10.23 from a place called Room Service. And that's where we're headed to now. And I'll update you once I've picked up that order. Alrighty, we have picked up from Room Service. Now, what's about Room Service? Now, I've dropped off to Room Service on one other occasion, and this is my first pickup from Room Service. Room Service is basically an all-hours adult, grown and sexy type place that basically, if you go there on Friday night, that's the ambiance that it is on Sunday afternoon. And what is really telling about it is that they've got security, and they actually run a metal detector on you, or they pat you down before you go in, even if you are a DoorDash, Uber Eats, or Grubhub driver. So that's the type of place. Now, what's also interesting about Room Service, location-wise, the establishment is basically, I can make an argument, around the corner from where I live. And it is across the driveway from one of the bowling alleys that I typically bowl for money in the Columbia metropolitan area. It's a place where I bowl pot games or actually bowl tournaments, or I have practice there. So this drop off is about 12 minutes away. It's taking me back up toward the Sand Hills Mall area, and so there may be opportunity to pick up an additional 1 or 2 orders, or pick up or stack an additional 1 or 2 orders in the process of dropping off this Uber Eats. Now, as it stands, we are about 1.5 hours into this hustle. The $23.89, $9, and this for $10 and change will put me at about $44, somewhere in there. I'm not going to say that I'm doing well right now because I don't feel it. It's not like I'm seeing a lot of orders come across my screen. I just happen to have accepted the right orders in terms of dollar-wise, but in terms of execution and time management, I'm not doing a good job. But I'll keep you informed of what's going on throughout this hustle. The Gig Geezer has dropped off the Room Service order, and that order is scheduled to pay $10.25. It had a $2 tip on top of the order. And so, along with the other Uber Eats order, it actually paid more than $23.89. It paid $25.09. That order, room service, that puts me at $35.33, or at least that's what I'm looking at. And then the DoorDash for $9, that puts me at $44.33. And now the Gig Geezer was faced with another decision, in that I had a Instacart order stacked for $35 and change, 39 items, if I'm not mistaken, about 35 items stacked. So it's within the Gig Geezer's parameters of when it's stacked of at least $30 and no more than 40 items. And then there was a DoorDash order, 4 items, $17.75, 13 miles from Papa John Pizza. Now, which one would you take? At this juncture, the Gig Geezer has opted for the Instacart order because we are now 2 hours into the hustle. And with this order, with the Instacart order paying potential $35 or so, that should put me at about $80 in about 2.5 hours or so. And so that actually puts me in a decent position, given that I've already mentioned I'm probably going to be out 3.5 to 4 hours for the first half hustle. The Uber Eats order was going to take me up into another black hole area along Lake Carolina, kind of like over in the Blythewood area with that very first order from Lizard Thicket. But that area that I told you with the Lizard Thicket, that's on the more of the northwest end, and this is more of the northeast end. But anyway it goes, the Gig Geezer makes decisions based on strategy by location, geography, and money, and time management. And so what also was favorable was that this Instacart is at Public. In Public, I tend to be able to go right down the aisles and find things. Now that's also after having completed over 1,000 batches for Instacart too Now, the Gig Geezer also saw a $39 triple stacked order from Kroger. That is one the Gig Geezer just laughed off because it reminded me of the triple stack order that I accepted back on March 4th, which is a Friday, and that landed me a 1-star and a 4-star out of 2 of the customers, and the allegation of missing item. And one that, by the way, is the subject of my most recent Gig Geezer segment about Instacart customers and how they have just absolutely enraged me. They've perplexed me. They've annoyed me, and I'm at my wit's end trying to figure out what do I do now in terms of protecting myself against these lying, scheming, fraudulent, inveterate customers. Okay, to update you on things, the Gig Geezer is in the process of dropping off a triple play. Now, the triple play is kind of a soft triple play in that I've got this double stacked Instacart, and I stacked a Uber Eats for $14.55 from Chipotle with this. Now, the first Instacart drop off is in the development where I went last Sunday. What is significant about last Sunday with that development? This speaks to this recent bad run of customers that I've had, in which I've gotten trashed with 1 stars and 3 stars and an array of less than 5-star ratings for reasons that are really unjustifiable. Situations in which the Gig Geezer is really not at fault. I've been accused of missing items that were not missing. I've been accused of not delivering entire orders, which is not true because I've shown documentation of each of these situations in which I have completed the orders or have selected, purchased, and delivered the items. I've been knocked with the 3 stars and 4 stars by customers because of items that have not been available, and there were no acceptable substitutions. But yet when you go to Instacart about all this, Instacart tells you, well, we take these things seriously and we'll pass this on to the trust and safety unit, and they do nothing. They act with no urgency. And yet again, as I've said so many times here on the Gig Geezer, these customers are empowered to lie, cheat, scam, and go on in their inveterate ways with impunity. And us drivers are subject to deactivation based on some of these egregious claims. All that is to say, this Instacart order should, if the customers do allow for the tips to go through, pay in the $35 range. The Uber Eats for $14.55 puts me at about a $50 play, and that should take me to about $95 in this current hustle. Now, $95 is not bad, but when you're trying to get to $232, well, that means you got a little more work to do. And that means that I may be out for that full 3.5 to 4 hours looking for one more order in this hustle. So that's where I'm at, and I'll update you once I've dropped off the last of in this current triple play. All right now, well, it's obvious with my glasses off, I'm not driving right now, and I'm actually at the end of my first half hustle. The Gig Easer did not complete that triple play empty-handed. In fact, about 5 minutes before arriving at the Uber Eats location, which happened to be an apartment complex, the Gig Easer accepted an easy $8 offer from Bite Squad / waiter at Lizard Thicket. The Lizard Thicket restaurant location was about 5 to 8 minutes away from the Uber Eats drop-off location. And so the Gig Geezer ended the first half also earning at about $101 in about 3.5 hours. Now, usually I would say, okay, it's good that I hit my number and that I made at least $100 in the first half hustle. But we're talking about making $232 for the entire day. So obviously that means that I've got to have a very strong second half hustle when I come back out in a couple hours. And I've not had an individual hustle of more than $125 in a while. So obviously from a strategic standpoint, the Gig Geezer cannot put himself in a position where he's delivering to black hole locations. As I mentioned earlier in the hustle, the black hole locations often end up being 1 outs, simply because you're going off into, at least when you're dealing in the northeastern sector of the Columbia metropolitan market, you end up delivering to these deep crevices of subdivisions and developments. And oftentimes you don't have the opportunity of stacking an order on top of it. And then you're having to drive all the way back to an area where you may be in a position of getting orders, but you're losing time and you're not maximizing opportunities, so you're losing money as well. So the other strategy is that, now I often mention that when I'm out here in my hustles, I'd like to complete at least in the range of 7 to 9 orders. It's been my experience, if I'm going to try to hit that $125 or more or if I'm going to hit that $125 or more dollar plateau during a hustle, I need to complete 8 to 9 orders. So that's what I'm looking at, and hopefully you'll come back and join me on the second half hustle. By the way, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I welcome your comments in the section below. And I'll be looking for y'all in a couple hours from now. Alrighty, well, I'm out and I'm about to start the evening hustle. The goal is definitely to make $130 or more this second half hustle. The first half hustle officially was $101.70. That was accomplished in about 3.5 hours, and I completed 6 orders. The goal coming in again is probably I need to complete 8 to 9 orders. And the important thing in the strategy is not putting myself in a position where I've accepted orders that take me to a black hole type location. So that means I've got to work in the opposite direction and hopefully catch orders that definitely fit in the geezer's wheelhouse. And with that, let's try to make some more money here. Alrighty, the glasses are on, as you can tell, and I'm en route to my first pickup, and that's going to be a Grubhub for $13 and change from Red Lobster. Now, you may make the argument that I went against already what I said though, but I didn't, because This Grubhub order, yes, is going up towards Sandhills. However, the drop-off location is about 7 to 8 minutes in the opposite direction from all those black hole locations. And from there, I can actually still venture back down in the area that I would like to go in order to try to accomplish this goal of making $130 more during this hustle. So I'll get back with you once I've picked up the order or when I have dropped off this particular order. Well, sometimes things happen maybe for a reason. When I was in the process of declining on some other orders that come through, Uber Eats, the app, has a way of showing up while you're in the process of doing something else. And it looks like I've accepted a $15.44 order also from Red Lobster. Now, it is actually heading towards one of those black hole locations. But when you've accepted two orders from the same place that's totaling almost $30, or at least in upwards of $29, now you just don't throw away something like that. I mean, you got a chance to start off making $29 in the first 30 to 40 minutes. You don't pass up on those opportunities. Now, that would be two orders down, $29 towards the goal. That's what you do. And so definitely now I'll get back with you once I'm further along in the process with these two Red Lobster orders. Okay, we are about 3 to 5 minutes from having just dropped off the first of the two Red Lobster orders, and that was a Grubhub for $13.66. The second order now is from Uber Eats, and I mentioned that I felt that I mistakenly accepted it, but it was showing $15.44. And so by the time I drop off this order, it'll be about 40 minutes into the hustle, and I will have made about $29, and that's not bad, but strategically it's not placing me where I want to be. My concern is that I'd rather be 15 minutes in the opposite direction, heading closer in towards the more greater metropolitan area proper, as opposed to being out here in the Northeast, where I'm likely to be sent to the black hole areas if I keep accepting orders. But as fortune would have it, I just accepted a Grubhub order for $15.44 from Chipotle. And so once I drop off the Uber Eats, I'll be trucking down to Chipotle and dropping off an order that's probably about 5 minutes away from the restaurant location. And that's a good thing. From there, I can definitely, at least from a strategic standpoint, head towards the area where I would rather be. Now, I've also mentioned too that sometimes you got to go where the money is. I'm hoping that's not the case where the money is all here, but I'd be a fool not to stay out this way if that's where all the money is. You follow where I'm going? Because it's almost like the old saying, one in the hand is better than two in the bush. And that's exactly what I'd be doing, knowing that I've got one in the hand out this way, but chasing two in the bush in the opposite direction. And I may not get what I'm looking for. So I'll get back with you once I've, somewhere between me dropping off the Uber Eats order and being close to the Chipotle location. Just as I predicted, I am trucking back rather hard to pick up this Chipotle order. The drop-off location with the Uber Eats order was in a brand new subdivision where I have delivered to at least on 3 other occasions. But that is definitely one of those black hole type locations. The good thing about this Chipotle order is that while I may be arriving about 9-10 minutes after the estimated arrival time, I have a chance to make it up by just jetting over to the drop-off location, which is literally about 5 minutes away. Now, this order is supposed to pay $15.44, which will put the gig geezer at about $44 in the first hour. That's not bad, despite what I feel is a tactical error of having taken that Uber Eats order. But again, sometimes you have to go where the money's leading you. That's not justifying things though. But the gig is just a couple minutes removed from having dropped off the Grubhub order for $15.44 from Chipotle. Now, while I was in the parking lot of Chipotle, I had an interesting Arby's order from DoorDash to come through for $17.75. Now, I've been talking about the black hole. This one would have taken me off into Stratosphere Infinitium. It was just that far away, and it would probably pay just $17.75. And so that is not the type of order that you accept. Now, what the Gig Geezer did accept was a stacked DoorDash order from McAllister's for $18.50. A little closer in, still not where I want to be, but I also accepted a Bite Squad / waiter order. I accepted a Bite Squad / waiter order for $10.50 from a place called El Jimador, or in Spanish that means harvester. Now, that's another soft triple play, a stacked order from one app, and then a solo order from another app. And I had something earlier in the first half hustle, and so we're gonna try it again. The showing amounts of $18.50 and $10.50 are $29, and with the Gig Geezer being at $44, just shy of $45, that will put him at about $74, and probably by the time I drop off the last order, just somewhere under 2 hours. That's not a bad pace. It's not a very good pace. It's not a bad pace. That would mean that I've now will have completed 5 orders, but I still need to complete about 8 to 9 to really get into in the vicinity of talking about making $130 during this second half hustle. All right, to give you an update on things, the Gig Geezer has dropped off should have been the second of the 2 DoorDash orders, but because of where it was located off in Lake Carolina, being off in one of the farthest crevices of this development, the Gig Geezer decided to go there first. And now the Gig Geezer is going to the first DoorDash, what should have been the first DoorDash drop off, and I'm about 6-7 minutes away. Now, after dropping off this other DoorDash order, I will be about 8 to 10 minutes away from the Bite Squad / waiter drop off. So it's turned out not to be a bad thing. Now, by the way, the drop off to that furthest point of the stack order has paid $11.75, and then this first DoorDash, the first half of this DoorDash order is showing now paying $9.25. So if it just holds as it is, the Gig Geezer stands to make $21 out of this stacked order. Not a bad deal. Okay, we are about 3 to 5 minutes away from dropping off the waiter / Bite Squad order, which is for $10.50. Now, a little bit of background on that order. I actually saw it when it was at $8. And so that means people have been passing on that order all that time. And so I accepted it at $10.50 only because of the stacked DoorDash order that I got, which actually paid $21. So there was a little bit of a hidden tip in that order. So now this soft triple play actually turned out to pay out $31.50, putting the Gig Geezer in a pretty good position now, right into 2 hours now. We're almost exactly into 2 hours of the hustle, and I'm at about $88, $89. Not a bad pace. So the Gig Geezer has guessed correctly on some orders, despite it going against my stated strategy, which was to try to avoid the black hole situations. Perhaps the best thing I can say is that I have avoided some of the worst of the black hole situations. In fact, just a few moments ago, I turned down a Panda Express order for $14.75. I think it was 6 items, but it showed 10 miles. And I wasn't going to go that far into I refused to go that far into the Blythewood area. That would be the furthest north points that I was earlier today. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to try to stay closer to civilization. That's what it amounts to. I want to stay close to civilization, where I stand a chance of getting perhaps a volume of orders. All right, we've dropped off the waiter / Bite Squad order, and as things would have it, I accepted a Uber Eats shop and pay order for $12 and change at a CVS. as it stands, after dropping off that waiter order, officially I'm at $87.96 for this hustle. This order, this Uber Eats order should put me right at $100 for the hustle in exactly 2 hours, in fact. And we still got a little ways to go. 6 orders delivered after doing this Uber Eats, and we're looking for 2, maybe 3 more to accomplish the goal of at least $130 in this hustle. Alrighty, well, if the gig geezer doesn't have on his glasses, that means that he's not driving. And the reason why he's got a chance to kind of catch his breath is because I've just accepted a second order, stacking Uber Eats on top of the DoorDash order. And both of these orders are out of Burger IM, but Burger IM is the hub place for a lot of virtual restaurants. And in this case, the Uber Eats order showing for $14.41 is for Burgers and Beyond. And the DoorDash order is from Wild Wings. And so I've got plenty of time to get the DoorDash order delivered, but I also have time to drop off the Uber Eats order, because the Uber Eats order is actually en route to the DoorDash order. That is how you stack orders. Now, altogether, these orders should pay about $25 and change, bringing the gig geezer even closer to that $130 goal for this hustle. Alrighty, I'm back with my glasses on. That means I'm driving, and I'm heading to drop off some orders now. What it amounts to is the Burger IM order, the DoorDash version, the Wild Wings order, was actually ready, and I had to wait for the Uber Eats one, the Burgers and Beyond order, because there's only 2 people working there. There's a young lady who was working up front, and then the guy in the back. Well, the guy in the back had already put out 2 orders, and apparently he did not have the Uber Eats order down at all. And it just makes me wonder about some of these places. Now, I understand that when it's just you, it is possible to overlook an order, but that place was empty. There was nobody in there. I don't know, but what I do know also is that Burger IM is not one of your swiftest places to get orders ready. In fact, Burger IM is in the category of places that are slower than constipation. But enough of my rant. The gig geezer stands to make about $25 and change on this. That would put the gig geezer at about $125 during this hustle. And by the time I drop off both orders, it should be about 3 hours in. And that's still a pretty good pace, leaving the gig geezer with only 1 order he needs to get to accomplish his goal. So that's what we're going to work towards now. 1 more order, and that would be number 9 on the evening, and pretty much exactly what I've been saying all along. I needed 8 to 9 orders during this hustle. Alrighty, once again, the glasses are off, and that means that the gig geezer must have a chance to kind of catch his breath. I'm in the parking lot of Tokyo Grill, and I'll catch you up to that very quickly. And by the way, thank you for hanging out with me today throughout the first and second half hustle. The gig geezer is very close to hitting that $230 for the day, and also that $130 plus hustle, second half hustle that is. To get you up to date, the Uber Eats order from the Burger and Beyond is showing to pay $14.51. There's a $2 tip on top. At this juncture right now, and I'm also waiting on the tip for $5.41 to come in from that shop and pay from CVS, and that should be showing up very shortly if it is going to show up. I also dropped off the DoorDash order, which paid, as shown, $11.75. Now, if based on my preliminary count, I am looking at a second half hustle going into this Tokyo Grill order, showing 3 items for $8.25 and about 10 minutes away from this actual location. I'm looking at a second half hustle right now of $127 and change. Overall for today, I'm looking at a total hustle of $228. And so we're right there on everything. And so I'm about to go in, pick up this Tokyo Grill order, and hopefully I don't have to take another order. Well, guess what? The glasses are back on. But the glasses are back on not with the Tokyo Grill order. upon checking out where this order is going to be dropped off, it's going to a black hole place in a subdivision development that I've already gone to today a couple of times, and I don't want to go there. I just don't. Not for $8.25. I am going to take the easy way out, and I just accepted an $8 waiter/bite squad order from Moe's Grill, and the drop-off location is probably about 5 to 7 minutes away from the pickup location. Now, basically, it's a trade-off. I'm okay with that, but sometimes you have to make those type of decisions, and I've had to make those decisions throughout this hustle. And you've heard me say avoiding black hole. Well, here's another example. Now, as it stands, if everything holds up, we're talking $135 in 3.5 hours. I'll take those numbers anytime. That's averaging over 37, almost over 37, somewhere about $38 an hour, close to $40 an hour for an evening hustle. I'll put those numbers against anybody. Also, if the numbers hold up, 7 days worked, over $1,500 in a week, I'll put those numbers up against anybody well, I'm not gonna say in any market, but I'll put those numbers up against anybody given the market that I work out of. All right, everyone, the glasses are off, and that means that I'm done with the evening hustle and the hustle for the week. And I can tell you that I managed to accomplish both set of goals. The goal that I started out today of earning at least $230, meaning that I would earn at least $1,500 for the week. The significance of me earning $1,500 for the week is that it was the second time this year I've done it, and also the second time I've done it within the past month. In order for me to have hit $1,500 this week, I had to earn at least $230. My first half hustle was $101 and change. In fact, it was $101.70. And my evening hustle was $135.15 or 28 cents, whatever. It was over $135. And that was done in 3.5 hours. Now, that is arguably one of my better hustles or half hustles of the year. In fact, it's the first time I've done that in quite a while. And so, if there's anything to take from today's hustle, is the fact that I did manage to avoid the black hole situations during the evening hustle. Even though there was one that took me out there, I did manage overall to avoid staying out there, which would have probably hurt me in the long run with the evening hustle. But one thing to take from all this is that you definitely have to, I've said this so many times, you have to stick to your process, whatever your process is. And order selection is a big part of it, especially now with rising gas prices the way they are. I mean, around here in the greater Columbia area, gas prices are from $3.75 and up for regular. I ain't even thinking about what it is for a premium. From what I can tell, it's in upwards of $4.59 for a gallon of premium. So that's a wrap for this segment of the Gig Geezer. I thank you again for hanging out with me all day. If you like the content that I've provided in this segment or in other segments of the Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up. I welcome your comments in the section below, and share my content among others. And again, I really need the subscribers. I really need the views. Help me with that. It'll be greatly appreciated. I'm Edward Lane, and as always, may your hustle continue. Thank you for checking out this segment of the Gig Geezer. If you reach this point, it means that you've checked it out in its entirety, and it's very much appreciated, and it tells YouTube that you're very much engaged in my content. Hey, if you'd like to get in contact with me or pass on some other useful information, I can be reached at giggeezer3.5@gmail.com, or you can check me out on Twitter at giggeezer.